So I have been playing Tokyo Extreme Racer a bit more recently, and I did end up discovering a really easy way to make money on here. Now, I'm going to say this though, it is probably not the first guide, and also probably not the first person to discover this, but I figured I'd show you guys what I did. That way, if you are getting into this game on PS5, you will have something that's pretty recent with this. So without further ado, though, let's jump right into this. So the first thing I want to mention here is some of this might contain a bit of spoilers because you obviously have to be farther into the game. I am currently in Stage 5 right now, so I'm on the last one. You could easily do this at the end of Stage 4 as well, guys, so do keep that in mind. It kind of depends where you are. Having faster cars and more upgraded vehicles can help, but looking at the menu here, you'll clearly see that I do have the LFA. I also have $300 million, which is from literally what I was doing. It's probably around maybe 3.5 hours of just casually playing and being able to do this. So the first thing I want to mention here is the perks you guys are running is definitely going to make this way easier. The first one I would recommend here is called the Pioneer Secret. This one basically increases your attack power by 20% at level 5 for the first 30 seconds of a battle. And yes, it makes a huge difference, by the way, when you are doing this. The other one I was running, though, is going to be the Center of Attention, guys. Again, this one is maxed out. You pretty much deal like an extra piece of damage to your opponent in the beginning, and this is level 5, so you'll do that with like the first attack, the reversal, the blocking, and all that stuff. And honestly, it is incredibly useful. The final one I am running here, though, is the Burning Spirit. Increases damage dealt to opponents by 10, so basically does extra damage to them, and it's honestly insanely useful. The one thing I want to mention here, though, guys, I know people might mention something about it, is I'm not saying you have to grind this or even do this, as I got all the way to Stage 5 and got the Lexus LFA and had money left over easily to buy other cars, and I never grinded at all. But if you want to do this and you want to get massively ahead, then you are welcome to farm this. I figured I'd put that out there because people might be like, oh, look, you have to grind in the game. But the thing is, you really don't have to unless you actually want to. Now, the other part of this, though, I'm sure you're probably wondering about is, well, Block, what perks do I need to have, and what should I really be using on this to maximize the most money? Well, the number one thing you're going to want for one is right here, guys. This is the consecutive wins all the way here at level 6. Gives you a 20% bonus, so after 20 wins, I'm getting well over 200 and something thousand dollars on top of everything else. And the funny part is, it's more of like almost 400,000 on top of what you're also getting from the racer. So I would definitely recommend doing this. These also help, by the way. The perfect reward also gives you a good amount of money as well, so I even recommend doing these on top of it. One of the other ones, though, is the Rivals Prize. Can also be very good at being 80% more, so I would also recommend doing maybe something like that one, maybe Technical Bonus. But the biggest ones for me, though, I would say is the win streak. Has to have that one for sure, or there's really no point of doing this because you are racing other rivals you've already raced. So yeah, and also perfect reward will give you like a bonus of money as well, which is always helpful. And then the rival prizes on top of it. So the next part from there, though, is going into the map here and then finding the racers you are looking to grind out. Now, the one thing I want to mention, though, is if you guys are looking for specific racers, they may not be here every single night when you spawn in. So what I would recommend doing is simply going back to your garage and then spawning in. I even would sometimes race like a random racer, then go back to the garage and then come back afterwards. And the racer you might be looking for will hopefully be there after that, as some of them might not always be on the map basically every single night. Now, people might be wondering, well, Block, who do I actually race, bro? What am I supposed to do here? So an example of this, though, is every little bit warrior is currently on my map here, guys, as you will see. So you could technically spawn in here and race him. But what I have been noticing, though, is players might say to race the highest level person. I have been noticing that, to be real, you really don't need to do that because you can also race a level 14 person. One of the bosses I was farming insanely, there's two of them actually, and they always spawn in this general top area. One will always loop around this way, okay, going around this way here, and the other one goes the opposite direction, looping all the way around this way. One of those bosses, I will show you guys footage of this in the background, is Midnight Rose. She's level 14, and she is super easy to beat. The reason why I was targeting the lower level bosses here was because with the perk setup I am running, you can basically beat these bosses in like 6 to 8 seconds, okay? It's super easy, which also will mean you will use less of your tire wear on top of it, instead of racing some of the harder bosses that are higher leveled with different perks on them, so their overall health bar will end up going down slower. For example, the Little Bit Warrior, the one I showed before, If you were to race that one, you'll probably, you'll beat them if you use a faster car, but it will take longer. Whereas if you were to race somebody like Midnight Rose, or I think it's Dark Tengu or something like that, I probably completely butchered it, but that's one of the bosses that goes around the top right of the map in the circle there. But either way, though, they're both level 14. They are super easy to beat. If you're running these perks, though, if you pretty much get ahead a little bit, over half of their health bar goes down within like 3 seconds, bro. You're pretty much beating them in 7 8 seconds every time. You can then slow down. Pretty much when the bar is going down, they won't even catch you. You can go right back behind them, flash them, race them again. Literally every 8 seconds. Now, the thing is, will you end up making less money? Yes, because a lower level like a 14, for example, which is Midnight Rose, you'll get around 160-ish thousand dollars for the rival bonus. At 20 wins, you're getting around 300 and like 80 something thousand. So you're still making around 500 and like 20-ish, 530,000 every 7 8 seconds. Whereas if you were to be racing someone like Little Bit Warrior, like a higher level one, even like a higher level Wanderer, for example, you will most likely be making more. I noticed the level 18, level 20-ish in that range. They give you like 220,000 on top of the 400 or whatever it is. So you're doing around 600,000. So it's around a 60 to 80,000 point loss there, or I guess you could say money, because I seem to be mixing them up as I keep talking about points and money. But either way, though, if you are racing a higher level boss like that, that's level 20 compared to a 14, then yes, you will be making a little bit more money from those. But I did find this to be a bit offsetting, though, because if you are racing a higher level boss like that, they can be a little bit longer to beat them. Maybe around 12 to 14 seconds, even 15 seconds, depending on what happens there, which, is still very quick. But here's the thing, though, if you're racing a lower level boss, like I was, for example, doing Midnight Rose, you'll beat them in 7 to 9 seconds. Normally, for me, it was around 8 seconds every time. You could slow down, race them instantly again. You are pretty much running that twice while doing one of the other ones. So it kind of offsets it and you are making more. You might be making a $50,000 less difference there, or 60 or whatever it is, but you're also getting the perfect bonus, which for me is around $90,000 every time I do it, so that's on top of it. And if, as long as you're not running into the other racer, crashing them, beating them instantly, you are almost getting that perfect bonus every single time, bro. It's actually insane. Now, one of the things I did want to explain here, though, is if you are finding other bosses on the map, like, for example, if you guys did end up finding a boss on the bottom part of the map here, you could still easily race them and continue to race them, but the biggest thing is going to be your tire wear. So if you are doing that, you'll end up probably maybe being able to run it, depending on how long the boss is, around 50, I would say, maybe a little bit less. If it's taking 15 to 20 seconds, it will definitely be less than that. But the thing is, though, if you are looking to get even more races done, which for me, though, seems to be the better route to do it. Now, can you easily go grind out the higher level ones? 100%. You can also go find the Wanderers if you want and really find a racer you like and follow that route and just keep racing them, especially if you're having more luck with doing those. But one thing I did notice, though, is, again, guys, the two bosses I was grinding was always on this part of the map right here. They're always this way. One goes this direction, which is going to be Dark Tengu. I think I said that right. He goes this way. So he loops around this way. And the other one is Midnight Rose, and she goes this way. So they're opposite of each other. What I really do like about this, though, is, which you probably already noticed, there is parking garages, right? So if you are going around, let's say 50 to 60 wins, your tire wear is getting lower, which you could put hard tires on, which will increase that a bit. It's still 50 to 60. But either way, though, once you get lower, you can head into the parking area and fix your tires, go right back in, and continue to race them over and over. Funny part is, guys, on Dark Tengu, I think I beat him around 224 times, okay? I'm not even kidding. I made over $100 million, and mind you, bro, it was like maybe 2 hours. And I was just messing around. I had music on. I just kept racing them. And it is, again, around 7 to 8 seconds you're beating them every time, because if you are racing the lower levels, they also don't have good perks on. If you're running those 3 perks I mentioned before, you will pretty much take over 3/4 of their health away. They have like a quarter left at around 5 seconds. It drains and it's over. It's honestly pretty wild. That is the way I was doing it, though, and I would definitely recommend it. Now, again, if you guys want to grind, this is what I would recommend doing. Now, for BP, though, I was getting like 3 to 5-ish, and that I kind of noticed came down to the level of the racer. Like a level 14, which would be Midnight Rose, was giving me 3, but if you race them 200 times, though, you're still getting 600 BP on top of it, so it could be super helpful, at least long term. But the biggest thing is, though, dude, if you grinded this for like 2 hours, you would probably have enough money to buy pretty much any car or multiple cars that you want and the upgrades. But do keep in mind, though, it is farther into the game to get the higher bosses unlocked. And the other thing I wanted to mention, though, is I would really say, guys, it's super optional. I wasn't even planning to really grind out any of this, but I was like, you know what, let me see if I could find this and see if this might end up working. It turns out with the right perks and the right racers on the right loops, bro, you can make a ton of money super quick, and it's also very chill. Like, if you did this for maybe an hour or two, like once or twice, bro, you would be set. I have $300 million now. But again, though, do you have to do that? No, you could just play the game and go through it. You would make plenty of money from everything to buy the cars you do want, guys. But if you have any questions, do let me know in the comments below. I do want to mention this again, though. If you guys are looking for this to be the easiest, you don't have to have the LFA. Stay on the right part of the map, guys. Again, I will circle this here, right here. Look for Dark Tengu. He always goes this direction here. And also Midnight Rose goes the opposite direction. Again, they don't show up every single night. If you don't see them, I would recommend going and racing like a random racer, then coming back in, and you will most likely see them. I think it was kind of switching for me where I would see Dark Tengu, then I wouldn't, then I would also see Midnight Rose, then I wouldn't see either one, and I would just go find a different boss to mess with for a bit. So it really does depend on which way you guys want to do it. But with this, though, you could easily pass by the parking garages, so after some runs, go in there, get more fuel, and you will pretty much be able to do this so dang easily, basically untouched for hundreds of wins, stacking up money insanely quick, bro. It's wild.